Creative Director is Marky Lindemulder. Network Production Director is Steve Cassidy. Traffic Directors are Megan Rose and Tik Tantiwan-Gumpai. Network Sales Manager is Dan Stores. Network Director is Kevin Shockey. Chief Network Engineer is Jason Gorodetzer. Senior Vice President of the Altitude Radio Network is Dave Fleck.
You want a hard-working team? There it is right there.
This broadcast was a presentation of the National Hockey League and the Altitude Radio Network.
Altitude Sports Radio 92.5. Colorado Avalanche post-game coverage continues now with Between the Pipes. Presented by Safeway. Download the Safeway app and get exclusive grocery offers and perks. Fresh foods, local flavors. Now, let's go Between the Pipes with Alex Ryan-Emmy and Mark Springer.
Seems to be the theme of the week. Avs getting goalie. Goalie versus Montreal. Goalie versus the Columbus Blue Jackets. Goalie here versus the Dallas Stars. As finally Dallas wins a game in the season series. Colorado won the first three, but they can't win the fourth one. Dallas does so by a final score of 7-4.
It's funny you say we get goal lead, but then the Avs do not help out their goal lead. So it's been 46 shots against, 47 against. Tonight is 37. That's a little better. But either way, we got a small amount of time to figure out how to ironclad up this defensive strategy that this team just doesn't have perfected at the moment.
Your final on a late one from Ball Arena on a Sunday evening. 7-4 at the hands of the Dallas Stars. The Avs dropped 2 in a row. Won at Edmonton on Friday night, 6-2. They get Dallas on the second leg of a back-to-back. The Stars didn't fly in until this morning due to the gale force winds that we've had in the Mile High area for the past couple of days. And this thing was pretty much all Stars all the time. A game in which Dallas dominated shot production through the first 2 periods. Colorado, for their credit tonight, didn't go away. They clawed back. They were within a goal thanks to a Jonathan Drouin tip. But it was just simply too little too late in this game as the Avs essentially see their Central Division title hopes wash away at home. And you'll see the Winnipeg Jets in the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs that start as early as April 20. That's 13 days away, or 12 days once the clock switches over to April 8th in about 45 minutes from right now. It just depends whether or not that game is going to be played in Detroit or in Denver or in Manitoba. As we welcome you into Between the Pipes here, Altitude Sports Radio 92.5. We're brought to you by our friends at Safeway. I'm your host, Alex Ryan-Emmy. You guys know me better as Raj, joined as always by super producer Steve Nelson and my partner, my co-host, the radio machine, Mark Springer.
Yeah, so Dallas played last night. In Chicago, and they lost
in regulation
3-2.
A gift.
Now, that was a Scott Wedgwood start. They were saving Jake Ottinger for the main event. That's Colorado here tonight. Tyler Seguin didn't play last night. He scored twice tonight. Tyler Seguin for Hart, people are talking. I mean, is there anything more valuable than that? You don't have him against the lowly Blackhawks, you lose. You have him against a very good team in Denver, you win. I guess that's the only logical conclusion I can come to, but that's just, this league is weird and it's tight. You can be the best team in the West and lose in Chicago when you have the rest, and then you don't have the rest and you go into Colorado and you win. That's this league. It's tough. There are obviously good and bad teams in this league, but any given night, and Dallas just showed this over the course of the weekend, losing to the Blackhawks, beating the Avalanche. Yeah, Colorado didn't play well tonight.
No, they did not defend well. They did not defend well.
I don't think Georgiev was great, but he wasn't the problem tonight.
He was not the issue. You were down 2-1 going into the second period, and if not for Alexander Georgiev, you're down 4-1.
He made some big saves in this game.
It was a 1-0 game early, and he made monster saves in the first. He was not the issue tonight. He wasn't great. You are 100% right. Was not great. Again, he gives up a bunch of goals as of late. I think his save percentage in his last 3 starts is south of 830. It's simply not good enough. But if you were to list out the issues that the Avs had tonight, I think he would have been third on that list.
You know, they go on the 9-game win streak, 9-0-0. Now they're 2-4-1 since then. They've just hit a little bit of a snag here. Obviously, not having Mikko Rantanen it's big because, you know, now Zach Parise on the second line. I thought he played well on the second line with Casey Middlestad and Valerian Chushkin. They weren't quite able to get that jump offensively, and then certainly defensively as well. Just too many instances where the defenseman split, or, you know, one Avs defenseman will choose to follow a puck and it leaves that spot unoccupied and nobody goes over and checks that cutting player. I mean, a couple goals were scored in that fashion for Dallas tonight. It's, you know, they are getting exposed a little bit, but it's the weakness everyone knows that they have for being lighter on the back end.
It was funny. I thought it was such a Jekyll and Hyde game from Sam Girard today. Like, he made some unbelievable one-on-one plays where breaks up 2 separate 2-on-1s that were going to be in the back of the Avs net, and then turns around right after and essentially has the primary assist on the Matt Duchene goal. Like, he misses it's a 15-foot pass to Nathan MacKinnon, and he misses him, right? And then he would come back a few minutes later and make another great 2-on-1 play. And then what happens on the Mason Marchment goal is he overextends on Marchment to the half wall on a penalty, right, on a PK, and he's having to play that PK, if I'm correct, because Sean Walker was in the box. I might be wrong on that one, but regardless, Girard plays outside the hash marks on a bigger player. Marchment beats him back to the net. It was this weird Jekyll and Hyde where you just gave up the most important real estate of the ice far too often this evening. Far too often. And I think it's an old Achilles heel for the Avs that they give up untimely goals, right? If you get out of that first period tied at 1 or up 1-0, because you don't give up a heinous turnover in the neutral zone, we might very well be talking about a completely different game, right? Because oftentimes on the second leg of a back-to-back, regardless if you're playing a good team, a middle-of-the-road team, or a bad team, the best push you're going to get from that opponent is in the first period. But you gave them life, and you gave it to the 2 players that you couldn't do, right? Like, Matt Duchene scoring in Denver means something to that Dallas locker room, right? It gets him fired up more often. A guy like Jamie Benn scoring the second to get you up, right? You're playing on fumes. You flew in this morning to play a National Hockey League game, and your heart and soul of your team, your veteran captain, Jamie Benn's the one on the doorstep. You don't think it matters, but it does. It matters who scores. You know who's an Avs killer? Roope Hintz. You know who's an Avs killer as of late? Mason Marchment, who scored a hat trick against this team. It doesn't matter who scores and when they score. Untimely goals for the Avs, I think, killed them this evening. They simply were not good enough defensively. I liked that they nearly showed you, listen, we can score a way out of anything. They almost got there. And maybe Mikko Rantanen would have been the difference tonight, and you would have gotten back to 5-on-5. But that brand of hockey, come April 20, you want to have a repeat of what happened against Seattle? Play that type of hockey.
Well, they looked like those home games against Seattle tonight. It's what it looked like. Like, it was good. It wasn't terrible. There was just a lack of energy, and then defensively, not enough commitment. And then the Avs commit 2 penalties in this game, just 2 penalties. The only problem is they were critical.
Bingo, bingo, bingo.
And they come right after they tie this game back up at 2. Arturi Lehkonen on the power play. Great pass from Nathan MacKinnon. Great cross-ice pass. That was a good-looking power play. Good movement. Makes its way to Cale at the point. MacKinnon cross-ice to Lehkonen. Good. Great pass. Great pass from MacKinnon. Lecky puts it in. 2-2. And then the high-stick double minor. Blood was drawn. You can blame it on the blood. I mean, the blood didn't help because they score on both. They score on both double minors. They score on the front end. They score in the first two, Rupe Hintz, and then Tyler Seguin in the second 2-minute minor. So, that hurts. And Dallas's power play, man, in that third period, the way they were scoring at will in that stretch, would love to see the Avs power play dominate like that at some point. They absolutely can.
They got a bingo tonight. They got a pop.
They did, but man, I mean, and those two right there, and then the Mason Marchment power play goal after Makar gets called for slashing. I mean, that's just 1, 2, 3.
They did seem easy.
Yeah, they
right?
did.
Like Colorado had to work for theirs. You had to work through multiple clearances of the puck to go and get that goal from Leckie. Good goal, good puck movement. Nathan MacKinnon has 2 assists again this evening. Jonathan Drouin is possibly going to throw up a 60-point season this year. There were some positives tonight, but it's tough not to look at the negatives when Dallas comes in here on fumes. And Connor, I love you, man. I really do. You didn't get goalied tonight. There's been games where Jake Ottinger has goalied a team. He had back-to-back shutouts just a week ago. You didn't get goalied this evening. You didn't. He let in 4. He had a sub-900 save percentage tonight. He made some big saves, but you didn't get goalied. It came down to not being strong enough in front of your own net. And yeah, Sam Girard got out-muscled. Yeah, Sean Walker got out-muscled behind the net this evening. Unfortunately, takes another double minor that puts you in the box, and Dallas goes away. And Dallas is they're a top 10 statistically in the league on power play. I'd put them at top 5, right? They've got a really good unit there. I think they've got a lot of big bodies who are good in front, who have soft hands. I love Miro Heiskanen. Dallas will win the Central. They will draw Nashville or Vegas. They will have home ice advantage until at least the Western Conference Final. It depends who has more points out of them between them and the Vancouver Canucks. Colorado will be playing the Winnipeg Jets in round 1.
You know what's, I'll say crazy too, is like I said, 2-4-1 in your last 7 after winning 9 in a row for Colorado, but 102 points coming out of tonight. They're essentially the 3 seed in the entire conference. The Vancouver Canucks have 102 points. The crazy season that they've had. So despite this little, call it a speed bump of late, I mean, they're tied for the second best record in the West.
You would be playing either LA or Nashville in a 1-8 system. If the playoffs started tomorrow, well, the Avs have the tiebreaker on. Oh wait, no, Vancouver has the tiebreaker. Okay,
tiebreaker.
So you would be playing Nashville in round 1.
Yeah, they're the 3 seed.
Instead, you have to play Winnipeg.
I think getting the home ice in that Jets series is huge. Like that's the goal. The rest, there is a clear focus. It's been simplified. It's really simple now. Get the division out of here, get everything else out of here. It's real simple. You want to be that home seed against Winnipeg. I've been making the Chiefs analogy since I saw the Chiefs win the Super Bowl. They were the 3 seed in the AFC. They were able to get themselves home field in their first game. You want to have home ice in your first series. You want to go on the road. Hey, if you make it through Winnipeg, which you absolutely can, and you play well down the stretch, secure that home ice, maybe you finish with a better record than the winner in the Pacific. Maybe someone does you a favor, takes out Dallas. Now all of a sudden, boom, you're the de facto 1 seed the rest of the way.
The issue is, though, if the team that takes out Dallas is Vegas, you see the defending Stanley Cup champion who will most likely have a full complement of health. And then you take Vegas on at home, but you got to go through Vegas. And the way that this team is playing right now, you tell me that they're going to beat them in a 7-game series? I don't have the answer for that right now. I don't. I really don't. If the team that shows up against Vancouver and Edmonton in the middle of March, the team that was in that 9-game winning streak, but particularly the Vancouver and Edmonton games, if that team shows up, they can beat anybody in the West. But if they defend like they have against Edmonton and Dallas the last 2 nights, you're toast. You're toast. And unfortunately, you know who Winnipeg is, man? And I've been doing a little bit of a deeper dive and going back and watching some of their recent games. the Winnipeg Jets are Seattle with a Vezina Trophy goaltender. And that should scare you.
Well, one thing that Winnipeg has is hunger. Like they're not gonna be picked by many to beat the Avs in that series, especially if Colorado is the 2 seed and they have the home ice. And Winnipeg, man, they haven't made it past the second round. They rarely make it past the first round. They've been a playoff team, so they've had a great season. They dipped a little of late. Now they've won 3 in a row, but they're the team that kind of has nothing to lose, that will go in with nobody giving them as much of a chance. So they have that going for them. No matter what team anyone's drawing in these playoffs, though, I mean, it's going to be tough up and down. It's the fact that Vegas is
anything
a potential 8 seed is it's tough.
St. Louis is still technically alive, but they're 5 points back, and Vegas has 2 games in hand. Like, they're still technically alive. Your 8 teams in the West are set right now. And there's some shuffling to go on. It was disappointing because you got a gift. Like, Chicago gifted you a chance to pretty much control your own destiny in the Central. And you threw it away tonight. There's some issues, and I do want to hit it on the other side. Was it the right decision? And he was not the reason why the Avs lost tonight, Alexander Georgiev. But was it the right decision to start him? We'll answer that on the other side. He's Mark Springer. I'm Alex Ryan. It's Between the Pipes, presented by Safeway on Altitude.
No one talks more Denver sports than Altitude Sports Radio 92.5.
Crazy to think of everything that's happened in the last 25 years, but one thing that's remained as consistent as ever is Plumline Services. From Fort Collins to Castle Rock, Plumline Services has been earning the trust of Coloradans with plum-crazy service and pricing on plumbing, heating, cooling, electrical, and drain cleaning. Plumline and Carrier. Turn to the experts. Schedule your service online at plumlineservices.com. For 25 years and counting, Plumline Services, partnering with great brands like Carrier. Service at home, servants at heart.
I got a nightmare phone call that no parent wants to receive.
Someone hit me going 60 miles an hour.
Dr. Ramos came highly recommended. When I showed him the x-rays, he immediately knew exactly what was wrong.
We've had a tremendous experience with Ramos Law. Really, I could not be happier.
Having the car accident was an accident. Finding Ramos Law was no accident.
Injured in a car accident? Ramos Law can help. RamosLaw.com.
McKinnon! He scores!
Avs faithful, do you want to take the first step in becoming a Colorado Avalanche season ticket member? Memberships are sold out at this time, so the best chance to get one is by placing your deposit and joining the A-List membership waitlist. The A-List membership provides exclusive member benefits, including pre-sale access to playoff tickets. Head to coloradoavalanche.com/waitlist to learn more.
If it's chicken you're hankering for, you won't find any better than Redbird Farms chicken. Sports fans, Vic Lombardi here with my better half, Terry Lombardi.
Hey, sports fans.
You know what I love most about Redbird Farms? There are no added preservatives or water. You can cook the chicken straight from the pan. No mess.
Yeah. When's the last time you cooked anything?
Stick to the script, please. You can find Redbird Farms chicken at your local King Super, Safeway, and City Market.
Can you even find the store, Vic?
All right, this would be a good time to run the jingle.
Redbird Farms.
Hi, I'm Henry Winkler. My eyes are very important to me. My eyes connect me with everything I love. I loved my late father-in-law dearly. He always lit up a room, but his vision dimmed with age. He had age-related macular degeneration, or AMD. And since partnering with Apellis, I've learned there's an advanced form of dry AMD called geographic atrophy, or GA. His struggle with vision loss made me want to help others know about GA's warning signs. For some, colors appear dull or washed out. For others, hazy or blurred vision make it hard to see details, like fine print on price tags. Many have trouble seeing in the dark, making driving at night difficult. GA gets worse over time and cannot be reversed. If you think you have GA, don't wait. Treatments are available. Ask a retina specialist about FDA-approved treatments for GA and go to GAWon'tWait.com.
just so everyone is aware, avoiding talking about a no-hitter is stupid.
Stay tuned for more Altitude Sports Talk.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. Go ahead, feel your engine. Admire that perfectly installed exhaust. Your vehicle's moving along this freeway like it was made from fresh installs and a whole lot of love. With eBay Motors, you get over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Some people just know there's a better way to do things, like bundling your home and auto insurance with Allstate, or hiring someone to move your piano instead of doing it yourself. So, do things the better way. Bundle home and auto and save up to 25% with Allstate.
Bundled savings vary by state and are not available in every state. Saving up to 25% is the countrywide average of the maximum available savings off the home policy. Allstate Vehicle and Property Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Colorado Avalanche Hockey, you're Between the Pipes. Presented by Safeway on Altitude Sports Radio 92.5.
In front, and they score. As soon as we say that, Rope Hintz uncontested, and it happens in the first half of the power play, so it will continue. Duchesne cleans up our boards. One-touch pass back for Harley. Boy, they love the backdoor pass, and this one goes right through Georgiev and in. So Seguin scores his 5th of the year versus the Avalanche, and that took a turn for the worse. Colorado ties it up with a power play goal, but then they give up 2 on a double minor, and it's a 4-2 lead for Dallas just like that.
Between the Pipes, presented by Safeway. Alex Ryanemi alongside Mark Springer. Steve Nelson, fresh off of a birthday yesterday, hanging out with you guys until midnight this evening. Happy birthday to Mark Bertinoli, who is working today. I got 28 minutes until the cast of characters here at Altitude Sports Radio finishes their 3-day birthday cycle. For the record, Mark Springer, Alexander Georgiev was not the reason why the Avalanche lost this evening. He was not good. Giving up 6 goals in a game is not good. .833 save percentage. In 40% of Georgie's starts this year, he has given up 4 goals or more. Not something that you want to see out of a starting netminder. Sure, he found his footing in a handful of games after the All-Star break, looked really, really good and showed his ceiling, but has now crashed back down through the crust of the earth, having given up 15 goals in his last 3 starts combined. Not awesome, right? Not great for that. He gives up 6 goals against Edmonton. He gives up 4 goals against Nashville, despite the Avs coming back to win that game, and then 6 this evening. Sorry, that's up to 16 goals now in his last 3 starts. He was not the reason why they lost tonight, but him being in net, I think, was a reason why the Avs were so bad this evening. I trust Jared Bednar. I think he's one of the best coaches in the National Hockey League. He did say something in his post-game presser, however, it starts with me. I wonder if he sent the wrong message to his group this evening by not starting Justus Annunen, by not holding his number 1 netminder accountable.
I understand why they went back to Georgiev.
As do I.
You know, he's older, more experienced, at least compared to Justus Annunen.
He's the incumbent.
On paper, the safer option.
He's an all-star.
If your job's on the line, if your life is on the line, who do you go with? You just make the safer play on paper, and that's Georgiev. And I get that, but I said this after the last game, that Justus has the juice right now. And I like Georgiev. I've defended him. I think he has that Kemper, Grubauer DNA, regardless of any ups or downs comparatively for either. I think that in general, similar grades for those 3 goaltenders. So that means that, I think Georgiev can have the same playoff success that they had with those previous 2 netminders. But I just have this feeling that like if they start Alexander Georgiev game 1 of the Winnipeg series, whether that's in Denver or in Winnipeg, and they lose that game, that we would just look back on it and be like, man, they were going to put Eustace in at some point, weren't they? Like, if it snowballs on Georgiev in the playoffs and they have to go to Ananen, and that's just the way that it's been going of late, it feels like a realer possibility that could happen. Why not just get out on the forefront of it? Why not just make the change, ride any momentum you can get, any spark you can get from that? Because I think the upside with Ananen is fairly high. And I would just go for that play. I would just shake it up. I think it's a little unconventional. Like I said, your life's on the line. The conventional play is Georgiev. But man, instead of just crossing your fingers for Georgiev, if you're already in a position where you're crossing your fingers, then just make the move right now.
I don't want the Avs to have to realize that they should have made the move 2 games into a series against Winnipeg and then going to Manitoba with a rookie netminder to face the Vezina Trophy winner in Connor Hellebuyck. I think that's a terrifying position to be in. What is far more palatable to me is you go in with Ananen as your starter on night number 1, and if he blows up, much like Philip Grubauer did, again, I will always go back to the Washington Capitals in game 1. You can always go back to your veteran and say, hey, listen, we tried to play the hot hand. You weren't giving us what we needed at the end of the season. Now you're an all-star. Now you're a veteran. Now you're paid way more than he is. Go prove to us that you're the number 1. Go prove to us that the Rangers made a mistake. And listen, again, I trust Jared Bednar. But the parallels to 2005, 2006, and Cam Ward and the Carolina Hurricanes are screaming at me right now. Martin Gerber was a 31-year-old, 3-year NHL veteran at that time, had played most of his professional career back east in the Swiss League prior to playing with Carolina and with the Mighty Ducks 2 years prior. In 2005-2006, Martin Gerber made 60 starts, won 38 games. You know how many wins Alexander Georgiev has right now that leads the NHL? He's got 37 right now. He had a .906 save percentage, a .278 goals against average, 3 shutouts. Finished 11 in the Vezina and finished as the 10th best goaltender in terms of all-star team, like first team, second team NHL all-stars. This year, Grubauer, 59 starts, 37 wins. He's got a .900 save percentage, a .291 goals against average, was an all-star this year. They didn't give the net to Cam Ward officially that year until damn near game 80. It's a collision course. A collision course. And the data tells you that you don't go to a rookie netminder. You don't go to the young guy because typically it does not work. But everything is telling me right now, you have to do this. And I don't think the Avs win the game tonight with Eustace Ananen in net. I really don't think Eustace is the difference in tonight's game. I think they were so bad defensively, so porous, deer in the headlights in their own zone that whoever is playing for you is going to lose the game. But I don't think starting Georgie sent the right message to the team. When this team with Nathan MacKinnon at the helm is everybody at all turns is held accountable, right? I know we blow up the story about Nikita Zadorov saying that he had a Snickers bar slapped out of his hand or a Coke taken out of all the refrigerators in the locker room, but accountability is first and foremost the most important thing in that room right now. And I don't think starting Georgiev with how atrocious he has been as of late sent the proper message. It's time.
I think if Eustace started tonight, you might have seen a better effort in front of net. It just, and I think his teammates like him. I think they like Alexander Georgiev. I think he's liked by his teammates, but I do think they would be a little more sparked with Eustace behind him. The opposing goaltender for Colorado tonight, Jake Ottinger, 2 years ago in his debut playoff series was 23 years old. He's 25 right now. Jake Ottinger is 25 right now. He was 23 years old 2 years ago in that opening round 7-game series against the Calgary Flames. Right now, Eustace Onanen is 23 years old. When Ottinger was 23 years old, I mean, that Game 7 in Calgary, they lost, but he saved 65 of 67 shots. Do I think that Eustace will have a performance like that?
Oh, I forgot about that
if
game,
he starts
man.
for the Avs? Maybe not. But Jake Ottinger was a first-round pick, right?
Ottinger was a
late
first-rounder,
late
yes.
first. And Eustace was a third-round pick. So is Eustace at 23 comparable to Jake at 23? Maybe not entirely. But much like at that time, Jake Ottinger clearly appeared to be the goaltender of the future for the Avs. I think in the back half of this season, we have learned that Eustace Onanen is very likely the goaltender of the future. Did I say Ottinger for the Avs? I meant the Stars if I said that. Either way, Onanen is the goaltender of the future for the Avs. We've more or less learned that in the last few weeks.
They're very similar upbringings. Like in terms of Finnish netminders, he and Ottinger, they did the same thing, right? Like Ottinger he made the U.S. national team as a 16-year-old and was one of the best goaltending prospects that the United States has ever put out. Was a freak with the U17 team, was a freak with the U18 team, was great in the World Championships at U18 with a .934 save percentage, a 4-0-0 record. He won his only, I think he won his only start at the World Junior Championships. But Onanen did the same thing. He came up playing in Karpats, U18, U16, and started World Championships for Finland as a 16-year-old, a 17-year-old. Like, both of those guys came up the ranks and were supposed to be the future for their international programs. Ottinger is much closer to being that for the U.S. than Onanen is for the Finns. But then, as I slip over my words right now, Ottinger being a first-round draft pick does not take away from Onanen having the same amount of success from the time he was 16 years old and promise to the point of being a 23-year-old starter now in the NHL.
And Dallas was coming off of, most recently the Anton Hudobin era in goal, Ben Bishop before that. Those guys are very Georgiev, Grubauer, Kemper-esque, but then they got their guy in Ottinger, and at 23 years old, they said, it's yours, and he showed him something in that playoff series, and sometimes when the lights are brightest, because look, Jake Ottinger this season came into tonight, I believe, with a .903 save percentage, Georgiev right at .900, so not that big of a difference, but guess what? Jake Ottinger has shown that when the lights are brightest in the playoffs, he's got that juice, and there's that word, because Eustace Onanen's, Eustace starts J-U-S. I mean, he has the juice. I just would get, and I like Georgiev, but I would get out on the forefront of this thing. Like, the future is inevitable for this team. That Onanen he's going to have to be the guy. At some point in the next year, probably more like less than a year. In about less than a year's time, he's going to have to transition to being just about ready to be the guy. It's funny. Watching the game on ESPN tonight, Frozen Four just got set. They threw it back to 5 years ago when Cale Makar came out of the finals of the Frozen Four, losing with UMass, and they talked about his debut at home against Calgary. Round 1, scores that goal. That was his debut. Game 1 of the playoffs. Sometimes you just find out who's got it and who doesn't when you throw them into the fire like that. Cale responded tremendously. I think you throw on into that fire and see how he responds.
I agree.
Juice! Tell him.
Maybe you give Juice both starts. You give him Tuesday against Minnesota, and assuming he plays well, you give him what is de facto game 0 of the series with the Jets. Saturday afternoon at 2 p.m. is the first game of the playoffs. That will go a really long way in deciding whether or not you go to Manitoba for game 1 or you stay in Denver after playing Edmonton on Thursday, April 18th. It's game 0. And I think that's a great first test. If you want to dip his toes in the water before throwing him into the fire of the playoffs, but I think that's what you and I are completely aligned here. Throw the kid in. But if you want to dip his toes in, you want to get him into a playoff atmosphere, Saturday matinee against Winnipeg, who you know you're playing in round 1. Put Eustace Onanen in net for that game. Do it.
You may as well. If he's like, there's your trial run. If he sinks, then okay, you got Georgiev, and we'll go back to the more proven commodity, quote unquote proven. But I mean, he has an opportunity. The Avs as a whole have an opportunity with Onanen in net to surprise some people. A guy that nobody has a ton of tape on, doesn't have a ton of experience playing against. That. You know, I mean, these stories in the playoffs. Now, we want to talk about stories. Tonight, Cody Rhodes finished his story, and maybe the Avs story for their playoff run is, who the hell is Eustace Onanen from a national perspective? We've been following the Avs since they won the Cup. I thought Georgiev was your guy. Well, you didn't know that they had a third-round pick of 2018 who had been developing, marinating behind the scenes, playing in Finland, playing in Loveland. Nobody knows who the hell he is until just recently. If you're a fantasy hockey player, you know who he is. But he has a chance to be that guy in the playoffs. And I think beyond his play, just a spark too, just a re-energizing and a refocusing of this team to kind of have the kids back. You know, leaders of this team knowing, hey, this is our goaltender of the future, likely. I think that it can really spark them having that behind them.
He's Mark Springer. I'm Alex Ryan-Emmy. We'll tell you what happened around the NHL. On the other side, we'll get you some Bet the Pipes for Monday as well. It's Altitude Sports Radio 92.5.
Colton all the way over for Manson near side boards. Now Duhaime over a stick, Middlestat. To Nathan McKinnon just off the bench again. McKinnon lets it go. Tipped on. It's right there. Wide open net. They score! Doobie-doobie-doo! Brandon Duhaime! His first goal in 60! Gets the Avalanche within 2 late in the second period.
They got to within 1. The final ends up being 7-4 from Ball Arena. Standings currently look thusly in the Central. Dallas 107 points in 78 games played. Colorado has 102. Winnipeg, with a game in hand, has 100 points. They'll play tomorrow. All 3 of those teams have clinched a playoff spot. 2 teams in the Pacific have clinched. Vancouver with 102. Edmonton with 99. Sitting 6 points back right now are the LA Kings. Vegas is 7 points behind Edmonton, currently occupying the wild card 2 spot. Nashville has the wild card 1. So if the playoffs started today, the Dallas Stars would face off against the Vegas Golden Knights. The Vancouver Canucks would take on the Nashville Predators. The 2-3 matchup in the Pacific would be Edmonton hosting LA, and then Colorado hosting Winnipeg. The winners from that Colorado-Winnipeg series would play the winner of Dallas and Vegas. Same thing happening with Edmonton and LA, and then Vancouver taking on the Nashville Predators. Alex Ryan, Mark Springer, Between the Pipes, presented by Safeway. As we wrap this thing up for you guys, take a look around the NHL scoreboard. Continuing to score goals, Patrick Kane scores his 19th of the season for the Red Wings. They get a 3-1 victory over the Sabres. The Wild blank the Blackhawks on the road. Chicago coming on a second leg of a back-to-back. They did not do as well as their previous game counterparts, Dallas, who fell again in regulation yesterday and then trounced the Avs tonight 7-4. Carolina shuts out the Blue Jackets at home. Teuvo Teravainen scores his 22nd of the season. Sebastian Aho's got 35 this year. For a team, again, that I always say doesn't have the guy, they do have a lot of very, very good guys. Like Teravainen, Svechnikov, Aho, and then obviously the glut of defensemen. And then Gensel, I think, is their best forward right now.
It's a lot like Dallas. With Mason Marchment, Jamie Benn, Tyler Seguin, Matt Duchene, Joe Pavelski, Jason Robertson, Rupe Hintz, Wyatt Johnston all have scored at least 20 goals this season. I think Colorado only has 3.
They would have Mikko, Nate. Does Cale have 20 yet? Or does he have 19?
He has 19. Drouin. Did Drouin get his 20th?
Drouin scored his 19th.
His 19th. Tonight. Okay. So yeah, Nate, Mikko, Val. That's it. Cale and Drouin have 19. But, you know, when Nate's scoring 48 and Mikko's scoring 40, that's pretty good. But, yeah, these balanced teams, Carolina, Dallas, but do you need that guy? And that's what Colorado has. I mean, they have that guy.
They do have that guy. Just do they have that guy in net? Rangers 5-2 victory over the Canadiens at home. Panarin scores his 46th of the year. Kreider scores his 38th. Alexi Lafreniere, for all the problems that Capo Caco has had as a top pick, that dude figured out the NHL this year.
Oh, they needed it, and they got it at the perfect time. They are on the inside track to win the President's Trophy, so you can go ahead and eliminate them from winning the Stanley Cup. Love that curse. Love that curse.
The Blues get a shootout winner over the Ducks. Troy Terry had a chance to extend that one. Jordan Binnington slammed the door shut to keep the Blues' very faint playoff hopes alive. We pretty much have the eight teams in the Western Conference as it stands right now. Predators get a 3-2 shootout victory over the Devils on the road, and also in overtime, the Senators beat the Capitals. Caps have fallen off the table. They were red hot. They're now 3-5-2 in their last 10 games. Eastern Conference looks like this spring. Boston, 107 points atop the Atlantic. Florida has 102 points. 5 points below them are Toronto at 97. The Metro is led, also the NHL is led by those New York Rangers, as you said, 110 points. Carolina at 105, and then 20 points behind them, the New York Islanders. The wild card 1 has been locked up by Tampa Bay at 93 points, and we still have what is largely a 4-team race, but if you want to add in New Jersey and Buffalo, who are still technically alive in this wild card 2 race, you have the New York Islanders, Detroit Red Wings, Penguins, Capitals, Flyers, Devils, and Sabres, all very much alive right now with just a week and a half to go in the regular season.
How about in that race for both the 3 seed in the Metro and that final wild card spot, both Pittsburgh and Washington, both Sidney Crosby and Alex Ovechkin's teams have the exact same record, 36, 30, and 11. Both teams have 83 points. Ovi's team has lost 6 in a row. Sid's team has won 4 in a row. And then tomorrow night, the Penguins are in Toronto. Mitch Marner is back, so the Leafs are largely healthy. But man, can Sid and the Penguins stay red hot tomorrow night? That is one of 2 games in the NHL tomorrow night.
And that's the question I've got for you on Bet the Pipes. The 2 games, they're going to be fun to bet on. They're very good games. Kyle Dubas going back to Toronto, where he was the GM there. Pittsburgh is being buoyed by an old Maple Leaf in Michael Bunting, who's been excellent, scoring big-time goals for them. Sid's got 40 as a 36-year-old. They are road dogs at plus 135. Vegas, road dogs at even money against Vancouver. I think both the road teams go in and get this thing done. I'm going to parlay 2 moneyline road dogs. If you do that, take Pittsburgh and Vegas. You'll get plus 370.
There's no doubt that the most fun team to bet on tomorrow night is Pittsburgh.
Oh, yeah.
But tough matchup in Toronto. My lean is Vancouver over Vegas. I had Vancouver on Saturday night going into LA and beating the Kings. That did not happen. Vegas had just beaten Vancouver. I think it was 6-3 in Vegas. Then they, today, was this today? Or you ran through the scores. No, it was yesterday. It was yesterday. That's why you didn't mention it. Vegas was in Arizona, and they were up 4-1 in the third period and lost 7-4. So no Mark Stone, no Tomas Hertl, obviously, and then Pietrangelo was out with illness. But that's that's a tough loss when you're up 4-1 in Arizona and you lose 7-4. So my lean is actually Vancouver to carry some of that bad Knights momentum. But much like that last Canucks-Knights game from just a couple nights ago, 9 total goals. I think there's more goals again. I'm going to go over 6 in that one at minus 115.
All right, those are your picks for Bet the Pipes. Avs fall 7-4 this evening to the Stars. It looks like they're going to take on the Winnipeg Jets in round 1 of the playoffs. That can start as early as Saturday, April 20th. For the birthday boy from yesterday, Steve Nelson, super producer.
Hey, happy birthday,
Love
Steve.
and appreciate you. Happy birthday, buddy.
That's what I appreciate about you.
For Mark Springer, my co-host, and now the current birthday boy in about 20 minutes, myself, Alex Ryanemi.
Dude,
going to toot my horn.
Your birthday starts in less than a minute?
Less than a minute. We go the Avs hockey broadcast here on Altitude goes from Nellie's birthday on Saturday the 6th.
Well, my birthday was just a week or so ago.
Right. You're at the end of March, right? The 30th?
29th.
29th. All right. I knew I was close.
I didn't know yours, so hey.
The entire broadcast is within 2.5 weeks of each other, but we go in consecutive days. Steve Nelson producing, Mark Bertinoli today the 7th. Tonight. And then myself the following day.
Wow, that is back to back to back.
Yeah.
And man, this is the broadcast of Aries over here.
For Nelly, for Spring, I'm Alex Ryanemi. Next time you guys will hear at least one of our voices will be on Tuesday evening as the Avs host the Minnesota Wild. The Denver Nuggets are also playing that evening at Utah, but I believe Spring, you'll be doing network hosting on Tuesday.
I don't know.
I think that's what's happening. I might have just made your schedule for you, but I think that's what's happening.
Let's get weird.
I devolve into madness here on a Sunday evening. Springer, Nelly, Raj, Avs lose. Tune in tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. for Brett Kane.